Alright, hello fellow trailblazers. My name is TK Ntebe and I am extremely passionate about money, travel, and a lifestyle. Now, why money, you may be wondering? Well, how in the world will I afford my lifestyle without the rands, maludu, dollars, and some euros? But I'm also the same guy who's very passionate about advocating for financial wellness. Now, I have in the background a guest interviewer. My goodness, this guy has been dying to ask me a couple of questions. So he's gonna ask me a lot of questions, and I can almost guarantee it's going to end in tears. But I also did not look at the questions, so here goes.
Hi TK.
Hi, mystery interviewer.
Thank you for the opportunity. I've been meaning to ask these questions for the longest time, my friend. Simply because I've seen you interview other people, a number of people, but I haven't seen you take like the back seat.
Oh no.
So I know, I just want you to be as most vulnerable as you can and just respond to this. Some of them I know, but I just want to know what you have to say. Yeah. So, Tukiso Ntebe, TK. How do you describe yourself in 3 to 5 words?
TK is adventurous, daring, and vulnerable.
Okay, wow, I like that vulnerability part of it. How would you incorporate vulnerability in terms of the relationships that you're having with family and friends?
So, for the longest time, TK has always been the guy who has my life figured out. In quotes, you know. I've always been the guy that has my life figured out, and I've always been the guy who seems to have it all together. But in the last couple of years, 2018, 2019, and 2020 has really been a moment of allowing myself to be vulnerable, allowing myself to feel what I go through most of the times, and allowing myself to cry, you know. So if you look at my blog post, if you look at my videos, some of my videos, I have really allowed myself to just let go of the perfection, the curated TK. I've allowed myself to feel. And I realized that I don't always have to have it together. I don't. So TK in relationships, wait, which relationships? Romantic relationships? Non-existent. 2021 better bring me some love. But from a family perspective is I have gone through the most with my family, particularly around June, July. My dad and my mom were not on speaking terms, so that was really not the best moment of my life. But we are well on our way to make a recovery. So TK, relationships, I'm allowing myself to be vulnerable. Friendships as well. I lost some friends along the way. We had our ups and downs with some of friendships. Some friendships were literally hanging on for dear life. They were literally just by the thread. But I have allowed myself to feel, to communicate the hurt, the disappointment, the celebration. So yeah, that's who TK is in relationships.
Wow, interesting. Thank you. One more thing I would just want to know, what new habits did you start this year in 2020? What new habits have you started in 2020?
2020 has been a journey. I'll start with the lockdown. The lockdown literally forced me to pull myself to myself. Firstly, I attempted to start cooking. If you saw that video about our spaghetti and mince, tragedy. So I attempted to cook. But if there's one thing I learned in 2020 was to create content. And I learned how to edit. I may not be the best editor, but I learned how to edit. And then I learned how to, the science behind podcasting. So this year has been about creating content and using different platforms for me. But beyond that as well is I have learned to be kind to myself. I'll say that's a habit because TK used to bash TK, Tukiso used to bash TK, or TK used to bash Tukiso. So I learned to calm down and be kind to myself. Secondly, the other thing is I've learned to live in a state of gratitude. So I wake up every morning and I'm like, what am I grateful for today? There's a lot going wrong in the world. There's a lot going wrong in my life, in my circle, in my professional life as well. But I've learned to be kind to myself. And every morning I wake up and I'm like, what am I grateful for? I'm grateful to be alive. I'm grateful to have a job. I'm grateful to have an income. I'm grateful, and the list goes on. And how do I go this in the morning? I come to my place and there's music playing. So be kind to myself. Be consistent as a content creator. That also included, obviously, the financial aspect of it as well. You need to pay your team. There's a team behind all of this. From the brand manager to the photographer to the videographer to the sound engineer. I literally decided that I'm going to be a content creator and I'm going to invest in that craft. But while doing that, being kind to myself. And the quote for me 2020 was by Shirley Sandberg, having done is better than perfect. For the longest time, I've sought perfection. This year, I'm just like, did I get it done? Is it at the level I want it to be? It may not be perfect, but I am happy that I got it done. So that's the habit that I've learned in 2020.
Wow, interesting. The other thing that I wanted to know from your side, or just to get your perspective, is that I've seen you grow from your YouTube channel, you covering a lot of topics, and most importantly, you covered a topic on mental healthness and disorder and anxiety. Yes, you have covered that. I just want to know from your perspective, what did you learn from that, or what was your key takeaway personally as TK that you implemented in your own life?
So for me, mental health is at the core of 2020 for me. Mainly because I wrote a blog post about 21 days in self-isolation. And what that blog post was about was the lockdown happened and I actually had to sit in my place for the longest time by myself. The only person who was literally checking up on me was my neighbor and my sister who lives in the same area as I. But for me, during the 21 days of isolation, I allowed myself to actually introspect. What am I about? What am I passionate about? I went through the hurt. I went through the disappointments. I got to a point where I was like, many times we say that people are trash and people are toxic, but I had to ask myself and interrogate, am I possibly the negative, toxic person? So from a mental health perspective, again, I had to reflect and look at who I am. Tukiso has been so hard on Tukiso. TK has been so hard on Tukiso, So I had to get to a point to say that I have 5 degrees. Yes, great achievement, but what does it mean? I've been looking for validation. I've been looking for people to recognize and appreciate who I am. But in the process, I lost who Tukiso was. I was so obsessed with the accolades, moving from one qualification to the next, moving from one job or a professional career to the next, one company to the next. And I had to stop and be like, but who is Tukiso? So from a mental health perspective, I realized that, I've been going through the most. I've been feeling the most, and I need to change that. So in the episode 4 of Talks About Lenford, we talked about mental health. And for me, the biggest takeaway was when you remove, and this was said by Sello, one of the guests, when he said that if you remove the I and you replace it with we, you move from illness to wellness. And that for me that's what stuck out, So I also look at it from a holistic wellness point of view. I advocate for financial wellness, but I cannot advocate for financial wellness without the emotional, the spiritual, intellectual, physical, without the environmental, because the environment that lives in If it's toxic, it's going to affect your finances. If it's great, it's going to affect your finances at some point. So I'm a big advocate of holistic wellness, like mental health, financial wellness, emotional, spiritual, and social being at the core of everything. So yeah.
Wow.
I could write a thesis, guys. I could write a thesis.
How is it being on the hot seat?
I'm sweating, literally. I'm sweating. So the only thing that's keeping me calm is the bubbles and,
Okay, just briefly, what did you let go this year? What is your biggest career highlight and professional highlight?
Career highlight, I would say, so firstly, I work for the coolest telecommunications company in the country. The future is exciting. Ready? If you don't know what that is, do your job. But for my career highlight, goodness guys, 2020 has been as negative as it was for some people, but for TK or Tukiso, it's been balling. Group CEO Award. Group, not CEO Award. Group CEO Award. To be recognized at a group level. I mean, I'm talking about global markets. I'm talking about Lesotho, Mozambique, DRC, Tanzania, Kenya, Ghana, South Africa. Guys, award winning. But beyond that, for me to see the YouTube channel, the TK brand growing is amazing, from content from the YouTube channel to the blog post to now the podcast to social media to Tukiso has really grown, and I'm loving who I'm becoming, because half the time I don't know what the hell I'm doing, but I'm also the kind of person who's not scared to ask for help. I have a videographer on standby, I have a brand manager, I have a creative strategist, and all I have to do is just show up and do what I do best, talk. I'm an MC and I am a public speaker. That's all I do. Everything else you see behind is the team. So I've learned that 2020, if you want to go fast, go. If you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, go with a team.
Wow, TK. I have two last questions.
All right.
Yes. What are you thankful for this year, and what did you let go? That's two questions. And the last question will be, what advice would you give your last year self?
So, what did I let go of is the negative self-talk. Many a time I've let go. There's a noise, there's a voice. I call it the TK devil. You're not good enough, the imposter syndrome. You are a failure. You're trying too hard. You're trying to please people. So I've let go of that voice to say that, shut the up. So I've let go of that voice and I've replaced it with gratitude. I learned a concept where I'm trying to start a gratitude jar, where after everything that's amazing, on a sticky note, I put it in the jar and jar look at my names. Just to say, because many a time we allow the negativity to take away from all the positives that we have achieved. So I'm letting go of the negative noise and the imposter syndrome. The second question was, what am I grateful for? I am grateful for the gift of life, the fact that I'm alive. I'm grateful for the fact that I have an income, guys. The money is what's funding the content creation. So without my salary, I will not be creating amazing content that I am. And I am bold enough to say the content is amazing. If you don't like it, it's not you. It's not me, it's you. But I mean, and if you haven't subscribed to any of our platforms, do best, So I've let go of that. And then, what was the last question? Jeez, the bubbles are flowing in. Advice to the younger TK. The advice I would give to my younger self, particularly the TK in the 20s, I mean my dirty 30s, or my nerdy 30s, I call it. Agana Shadow calls it thriving 30s. I like that too. But the advice I'll give to myself or younger self is, you're good enough. You've always been good enough. Keep doing. Bet on you, because ain't nobody gonna bet on you. So all I'm doing is I am betting on me. Criticize. If it's constructive, I'll take it. If it's negative, I shut it out. But I will keep betting on myself, because the best person I know, the only person I can change, the only person I can keep showing up for is Dimlo. So 2020 has been that. I am excited, I am happy. Lifestyle, money, travel. Take care of your money, take care of yourself, take care of your mental health, love yourself, and make sure you check out my platforms because TK is a movement and I am fun and excited and I love me some money. Mwah! Happy 2021 everybody. Trailblazers, that's the community we're trying to build. Sure.